Welcome to the Explainer. So, picture this, your absolute best employee. What if I told you they spend half their day just walking? Not picking, not packing, just walking from point A to point B. Sounds crazy, right? But for most warehouses, that's the reality. And it's this massive hidden cost that's just draining your resources. Well, today, we're going to show you exactly how to fix that.
Okay, so just how big of a deal is this, really? I mean, take a look. That bar right there, that represents the single activity of picking items, and it can eat up anywhere from 50 to 70% of all the labor hours in most warehouses. Think about that for a second. That's more than half your payroll just going to one single task.
But here's the crazy part. The problem isn't even the picking, not really. The real thief here, the thing that's eating up all that time, it's the walking. Yeah, just walking. Endless, back and forth, inefficient walking from one spot to the next, all day long.
So what if you could take all of that wasted motion and turn it into pure profit? Well, that's exactly what we're going to do. In the next few minutes, we're going to lay out a step-by-step playbook that transforms those wasted steps into what could be your single biggest efficiency gain. Sound good? Let's get into it.
All right, first things first, we have to diagnose the problem. So let's take a look at the telltale signs, the symptoms of an inefficient picking system.
Now be honest. Does any of this look a little too familiar? You know, pickers who seem to be on these epic journeys just to grab a few items, a nagging, constant rate of mispicks that just creates more work, orders that just sit there for way too long before they finally get dispatched, and maybe the most important one, your team is just plain tired. And that fatigue leads to even more mistakes. Look, these aren't just little headaches. These are giant, flashing red flags.
Okay, so we've seen the symptoms. Now, let's dig a little deeper and find the root cause. Why is this actually happening? Well, you might be surprised to learn that it almost always boils down to just a few key things.
You see, the biggest problems are usually the simplest ones. It's things like poor slotting, single order picking, and having no defined routes. These are the main culprits behind all that wasted motion. So what does that mean in plain English? Well, poor slotting means your hottest selling items are buried in the back of the warehouse. Makes no sense, right? Single order picking means your team is making these long, inefficient trips for just one order at a time. And no defined routes? Well, that's just chaos.
But here's the good news. This is all totally fixable. There's a clear treatment plan, and we're going to break it down into two simple phases, some immediate first aid, and then a plan for long-term operational health.
So we're going to attack this with a two-pronged strategy. First up, we're going to look at the quick wins. I'm talking about high-impact changes you can make, like right now, and see a difference almost immediately. Then, once we've got that momentum, we'll build on it with the long-term fixes that are going to create sustainable, scalable efficiency for the future.
Okay, let's dive into phase one, those immediate fixes. I want you to think of these as the low-hanging fruit. Seriously, they require very few resources, but they deliver really powerful, visible results, and fast.
So here are your first 4 moves. Number 1, reslot your fast-moving products. You know, your SKUs, that just means stock-keeping units. Get your best sellers into what we call a golden zone, right near the dispatch area. Number 2, group items together that are often bought together. You know, if customers always buy shampoo and conditioner, put them side by side. It's common sense. Number 3, start batch picking. This is a game changer. Combine multiple orders into one single, super efficient trip. And number 4, introduce a simple pick-to-check system, like a basic barcode scanner. This one will slash your errors like overnight.
All right, fantastic. Once you've got those quick wins under your belt and you're seeing the results, it's time to start thinking bigger. Now we're going to build a system that doesn't just patch up today's problems, it actually prevents them from ever coming back.
This is where we get really strategic. Think about something like zone picking. Your pickers basically become experts in their own little neighborhood of the warehouse, which just crushes travel time. Or wave picking, where you coordinate order releases to create this smooth, predictable workflow. No more chaos. And with route optimization, you're literally designing the most efficient path through the warehouse for every single pick. You add in the right technology and some smart ergonomic improvements, and suddenly you have a system that is absolutely built to last.
Okay, so what does all this actually look like in practice? How does this translate into a direct playbook for you as a manager? Let's walk through the 3 most important questions you should be asking yourself along with the answers. Consider this your action plan for Monday morning.
All right, first up, the big one. Your team is walking way too much. It's probably the #1 complaint, the #1 source of inefficiency. So what do? What are the specific changes you can make to fix this? And the answer is surprisingly simple. You have to attack travel time head-on. That means reslotting your top SKUs so they're right by dispatch. It means implementing batch picking to get rid of all those duplicate trips. And it means using that golden zone to make your most frequent picks almost effortless. And why does this matter so much? Because every single step you save goes straight to your bottom line. It's pure profit, and you don't have to hire a single new person to get it. Okay, on to question number 2. And this one tackles that classic dilemma, right? Everyone wants to get faster, but what good is speed if your accuracy tanks? So how do you get more efficient without making more mistakes and sending the wrong stuff to your customers? You know, the secret here is to build quality control into your faster process. It's not one or the other. Introducing barcode scanning right at the moment of picking is hands down the best way to stop wrong item errors before they happen. Then, using things like check digits or a final check at the packing station, that's another layer of security. It's all about what the Japanese call pokayaki, which basically means mistake-proofing. The whole goal is to make it super easy to do the right thing and really hard to do the wrong thing. And finally, question number 3. This is where we look to the future. After you've made all these initial improvements, how do you build a system that doesn't just fall back into old habits? How do you create something that keeps performing at a high level and can scale up as your business grows?
Well, the key to long-term success is all about structure. This means putting formal strategies in place, like zone or wave picking, to create that predictable, balanced workflow we talked about. It means designing standard, optimized routes that take all the guesswork and backtracking out of the equation. See, these aren't just one-off fixes. These are deep, systemic improvements that will turn your warehouse into a well-oiled machine for years and years to come.
Look, if you remember only one thing from this whole explainer, I want it to be this. Walking is wasted labor. Full stop. It adds absolutely no value for your product or for your customer. Every single step you can eliminate from the picking process is a pure productivity gain, and you can achieve it with the amazing team you already have.
So, remember that massive labor cost we talked about at the beginning? Well, it turns out it's not just your biggest problem, it's actually your biggest opportunity. You now have the playbook, you know the steps, so the only question left is, what's your first move?